Let's knock 'em out cold, my friends. Russian President Vladimir Putin declared a partial mobilization in Russia. He was supposed to go on air yesterday, people were waiting, but then for some reason it was cancelled. This morning he made a speech to Russian people. I quote, "For the defense of our homeland, I see it necessary to declare a partial mobilization. This decision is necessary for the liberation of the whole of Donbass and Luhansk. The West is trying to destroy Russia and cut it into pieces. Russia has the most advanced nuclear weapons in the world. NATO should remember that." He said those things, of course, in different time spans, but I put them together for you. Declaring mobilization is a sign of weakness. It means that the special military operation has failed, and Russian leaders know it. Putin has no way back, so he will go all in. He was always afraid of declaring mobilization because he knows history very well, and in the last 150 years, every bigger regime change in Russia has started from the military, and mobilization plays a huge part in that. Now, in his eyes, he has no other option. After Putin's speech, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu announced that 300,000 reservists will be mobilized, meaning that only people who have completed conscription in Russia will be mobilized. But this is only the first wave of mobilization. More can be declared if needed. Mobilized will supposedly go through additional training before being sent to the front. This means a lot of fresh cannon fodder for Russia, but no highly motivated, highly trained troops for Russia. But despite that, it will have an effect on the battlefields. This will be a huge obstacle for Ukraine, and I'm sure they're preparing for the arrival of these new troops. This arrival might take months or days, according to if generals want their mobilized to be trained or not. This is Russia. We have seen a lot of untrained soldiers sent to the front lines, but we don't know that yet. Yesterday, there were unconfirmed reports that after 11:59 p.m. it will be illegal for military-aged men aged between 18 to 65 to leave Russia. This is unconfirmed, but in the light of mobilization, I would imagine that a lot of Russia's young male population would try to leave the country. This would force them to stay, and this would be a logical step in the light of mobilization for the Russian government to take. My friends, I will now read you 5 Patreon names. I can do these videos thanks to Patreons, because most of these military-related topics, they will get age-restricted or demonetized. M. Godwin, Terenke Kukkua, James Lavrie, Carles Edward Richardson, Paul McManus. Thank you to these 5 people. I butchered your name with my Estonian pronunciation. If you like the channel, Patreon link is in the description below. Tier 10 and above, and I might be butchering your name too. I made a song about Ukraine, and it is my passion project. I'm very vulnerable about this music I make, so if you wanted to listen to the song, the link is in the description below.
Dying of the light, there's something burning in my heart for the children lost to the war.
Let's look at this military map in the light of mobilization. 300,000 fresh troops to be thrown into these battlefields. Right now the active front is like that, from here to here, which is close to 1,000 kilometers. But if 300,000 fresh troops would be thrown into the battle, they might attack from everywhere. I mean, this is Russia. They're known for their illogical decisions where to attack. These new troops might try to take Kiev, maybe surround it again. The defeat in the Kharkiv front was a huge humiliation for Russia, so they might want to take Kharkiv again, surround it perhaps. They might try to take Mykolaiv again. All of these decisions would be really stupid because Russian fronts right now are crumbling. The first thing to do would be to reinforce these fronts. From a military perspective, this would be the wisest thing to do, but I mean, this is Russia. They're known for doing stupid things. Maybe they'll go back to their old goal of trying to sack this army group here, connect up to North to Izium grouping again. Again, this here is the only part that Russians are actively pushing right now, so maybe they would just try to push stronger. We don't know. We can only speculate because Russia takes illogical decisions on the battlefields. All we do know is Ukraine has a lot of manpower. Every day goes by, they will have more weapons. So this mobilization will not give any upper hand to Russia. It might only even out the cards. For Russia to gain upper hand in manpower, they would need 500,000 men. And Putin is afraid of calling such high numbers. He's testing the waters, testing the mood of Russian people right now with this 300,000. If Russians are content with it, he will go higher. But this 300,000 300,000 will not be any magical new force that changes everything. It will only be enough to bolster the fronts for Russia. The United States Department of Justice has asked the Congress to legalize the transfer of frozen Russian assets to Ukraine in response to the referendums Russia has declared on Luhansk and Donetsk. Yes, supposedly this Friday, in a few days, Russia will hold these fake referendums on Donbass, Luhansk and maybe Kherson Oblast, officially annex them into the Russian Federation. This means that fighting is going on the Russian soil, giving Russian leaders, by law, more power over this war, over this conflict, and the power to use a tactical nuke. It is basically a way for Russia to legalize using more deadly means in this conflict, which I don't understand, because they've always changed the laws however they want, so why do they worry about the laws now? It doesn't make sense to me. At least 300 billion United States dollars of Russian assets are frozen in the USA. This is pure money. We're not talking about real estate or yachts. This is money, actual money. There's a huge issue in my eyes with sending such a huge amount, or any amount, to Ukraine. And the issue is, drumroll, corruption. Money tends to lose its way in Ukraine, into dark holes and never return. Sending money directly to Ukraine is making sure it never reaches its destination. I am sorry to bring this message. This is not an anti-Ukrainian message. I'm really looking forward to Ukrainian anti-corruption policies, which are already in effect, but they take time. Now, the weird part is that I know that the Department of Justice of USA knows this, knows the corruption situation in Ukraine, and they're still for sending these 300 billion to Ukraine. This is fishy. The better use for this money is to keep it in the US and put it into weapons production and send all of these weapons made from this money to Ukraine, not send the money directly. It remains a mystery to me. Polish president said this at the UN, I quote, "Poland's position in the face of every war is clear. We recognize each state within its internationally recognized borders and demand respect for its inviolability. Today the victim is Ukraine. Any one of us could be tomorrow." It is very well said, and it is true for the Baltics, Poland and even Finland. If it would not be Ukraine right now, it would be the Baltics, Poland or Finland. This is why Baltics and Poland are so focused in this conflict and almost give fanatical aid to Ukraine. Estonia has given a third of its entire military GDP to Ukraine in weapons and gear. Estonian people really feel like Ukrainians are fighting for us. It wouldn't be them, it would be us. This is a woman in Ukrainian liberated Izium on the grave of her son. I have not reported on what happened in Izium on the Russian occupation, but I think you know. I am with these events every day, and my heart goes out to all Ukrainians who have lost someone in this Russian terror act in Izium. I'm very sorry for your loss. I want to go back to the topic of mobilization for a second. I like this tweet. Putin can declare it, indeed, but it will be a risky decision. The USSR maintained a massive infrastructure for the total mobilization, which has been mostly dismantled in the post-Soviet Russia. Mobilization is more likely to trigger political chaos. I want to take out of this tweet the infrastructure part. The ability to declare mass mobilization is not just there for any country. It has to be built up, which is very expensive, maintained, which takes a lot of effort. This includes roads, trucks, gear, equipment, weapons, staging areas, food, barracks, and so on. The list is endless. If any of these things is missing or not maintained or not built up, there will be huge bottlenecks in the process of mobilization, making it very chaotic and time-consuming and lowering the morale of the troops just waiting because there is a bottleneck. Waiting around as a soldier is one of the things you do all the time, but waiting to get your gear, I've been there. I've been called back after the conscript service and there were bottlenecks. Oh, this drains the morale. In Russia, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of men suddenly needing gear, weapons, food, trucks to transport them. These trucks need roads and they need sleeping areas. Russia has not maintained almost all of these links properly. Russia is not known for their good logistics or good roads. The opposite is true, so this mobilization will be a chaotic cluster F. I will leave you here, my friends. Thank you for staying with me. I will bring you news as much as I can. If you like what I do, Patreon link is in the description below, as well as Knock 'em Out Cold merch. Until my next video, Slava Ukraini.